Joe Biden, the radical socialist Democrats would immediately collapse the economy. If they got in, they would collapse it. You'll have a crash the likes of which you've never seen before. Your stocks, your 401ks. Remember, it's the people that own these massive listed companies. A lot of people, rich people and not so rich people and middle income people, and those stocks will crash like you've never seen before. The Biden plan begins with a $4 trillion tax hike, and that will end everything, including growth. There won't be growth. There'll be total contraction.
The economy is probably still the most important single determining factor. Perception around the economy as to who will be the president of the United States starting in January of next year, right? But perceptions of the economy are essential. The president there saying, what is unsurprising to hear from him, that he thinks that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will ruin things. And Democrats, of course, will say, no, it's going to be a return to normalcy, and there's going to be a shared prosperity. We're all going to do better together. It's all good. We're going to spread the wealth around, you see. We're going to do all kinds of... Okay. Well, let's dig into that a little bit, shall we? You have Donald Trump saying they're going to crash the economy. What is the Biden plan for making things better in America, economically speaking? What's the Biden plan? Well, he gives you a sense of it here.
Not true. I can actually cut taxes for middle-class people. Anybody making less than $400,000 wouldn't pay a penny. But guess what? The super wealthy will start to pay what they should pay. I'm going to increase the tax rate back to what it was under George Bush, 36.9%. That would raise close to $1 trillion. We're going to also make sure that the tax rate goes down not to 20% for corporate America, but to 28% from 38%. That raises a considerable amount of money as well. Make sure that people, in fact, who are in a situation where they are paying no taxes, major corporate, they pay a minimum of 15% tax, because you have 19 corporations making billions of dollars paying zero tax. I pay for every single thing that I plan on doing for education, for health care, for all the things that matter in terms of people being employed and ordinary middle-class people having a fighting chance.
He's just delusional, or a liar, or maybe both. Whatever the cue cards say is what he's going to read, so I don't know who we're supposed to blame for all this. But look what he's saying. Oh, it's just a question of taxing the rich. How many times have we heard this one? How many times have we been told that if only the rich would pay their fair share, everything in this country would be so much better? Do you believe that? No, of course not. The rich, the truly rich, don't have enough money. You know what the Democrats love to do? They love to define a two-income household making, $150,000 or $200,000 a year as rich. If you live in some parts of Nebraska, $200K for a household income, yeah, you're living fat and happy. That's great. You live in San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York City, you're just maybe paying your bills. Yeah, that's reality. But Democrats don't ever deal with that because their donors are all multi-millionaires, even billionaires. The people that are really pushing the economic policy come from a very different perspective on all this, which is that they want other people to pay higher taxes, and they claim they want higher taxes. But guess what? When it comes to their own taxation, they do everything they can to try to hide money overseas, to try to make sure that they don't pay that higher rate. I'll never forget when John Kerry was running for president. Of course, a classic Democrat talking about raising taxes on the wealthy. And, he was moving the yachts around and doing this, that, and the other thing to make sure that on income from assets alone, I think they made something like him and his wife had $7 million that year. They paid like a 10% effective or 12% effective tax. They paid like nothing on money that they make just from sitting around. That was fine for John Kerry, but not fine for you. You got to pay more taxes. You say, well, Buck, hold on, I'm not super rich. Yeah, doesn't matter. Because remember, it's not just the federal tax rate we're talking about here. It's the regulations on your health care plan through Obamacare and through other intrusions in the marketplace from the federal government. It's the state regulations on your business, the state taxes, the consumption taxes that exist out there. What do they think makes people in this country rich? The Democrats seem to believe if only they take more money from people who already have money, everyone else is going to be better off. It's not going to work. It's not going to make you better off. It's not going to make me better off. I wish that were true. But so Joe Biden is also having to back away from other crazier ideas of the Democrat Party because people's memories aren't so short in this country that they'll forget necessarily in November what he really states clearly today. So he's repudiating old positions. I got to tell you, the stuff that you're seeing now on the environment, and this is where I wanted to focus our attention for a moment. The situation in California. I know we have wonderful Team Buck California listeners out there. I hear from you a lot. But you have the mayor of Los Angeles. I mean, this is stunning. The mayor of Los Angeles saying that you have to. I'm trying to find exactly how he says it, but it's like turn your AC off and turn off your major appliances, and they're doing electricity rationing on in a state that should be one of the wealthiest and most effective, one of the most effective states in the country. I mean, has one of the largest economies, but instead, what are we told? Oh, California needs to ration electricity because they don't even give you a reason for it. You know what the reason is? Grotesque mismanagement. A lot of the mismanagement pushed by the environmentalist lobby. A lot of it. That's the reason why right now you're supposed to. It's the mayor of Los Angeles put out some tweet about this that got everyone's attention, but it effectively said, you got to unplug your stuff and get ready for this. Make your home really hot. This is what libs love to do. They love to tell you that if you're a good person, you'll listen to them. And then they don't want to listen themselves. The mayor of L.A. wrote yesterday, I know we all wish we could be at a party or a barbecue. We miss our traditions, our friends and family. But if you've made those plans, please cancel. Even if you're young and healthy, parties are dangerous. That's a lie. If you're young and healthy, you're going to be fine. As fine from this as you would be from going out and subjecting yourself to any number of other viruses and things out there. That's just a lie. We have to make sacrifices to defeat COVID-19 and save lives. Oh, how many more sacrifices? How much longer should we be making these sacrifices? Whenever they say so. But we're all in this together, right? That's what they tell us. We're all in this together. That hasn't been true for one day of this thing. There are the wealthy, those with assets, and those who need a paycheck to pay their bills, who might have lost their jobs. Their industry might be shut down because of the arbitrary decision-making of our COVID-19 overlords. And then there are these other rules and regulations. I flew in from Montana yesterday. Montana just added to the quarantine states. And the first time I flew in from North Carolina, because, I am traveling. I am going on planes. I am living my life to the extent that I can, despite the morons in charge who tell us that we can't do anything anymore. Oh, because of COVID. As if they have any idea how to stop it or what to do about it. No, they're just using this as a power grab. They have been all along. But I flew in, and there was no enforcement whatsoever. They didn't even take any of my information. It was all preposterous. They create this quarantine with this $10,000 fine. They don't know. And they're not going to do it. So why would you do it? Right? They keep showing us what they really think of this virus, which is that it's very useful for controlling the plebs. It's very useful for shaming and ordering around the hoi polloi. But this is now, unfortunately, the reality we face. I don't even know the Democrats care that we expose their hypocrisy all the time because they've been able to incrementally seize so much power. I don't know how we pull it back from their little grasping fingers. But there's no... Oh, the gyms in San Francisco, it turns out, government gyms have been open. So government employees, I'm sure deemed essential, they have had access to their own gyms, but private gyms that people pay money to go to, closed. Even my own gym here in New York, it's open. I belong to a private gym in New York City. It's open. I'm supposed to wear a mask the whole time. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, okay? It's moronic. Limit the number of people in there, ventilate the space, Let young, healthy people who are not worried about COVID work out. Instead of just making us all fat and get, higher risk for hypertension and diabetes and everything else, which is what they're doing with these policies to millions of people. Oh, the mayor of LA, here's the tweet. It's almost 3 p.m. This was yesterday. Time to turn off major appliances. Set the thermostat to 78 degrees. Ouch. That's muy caliente. Turn off excess lights and unplug any appliances you're not using. We need every Californian to help conserve energy. Please do your part. Why doesn't California have enough electricity? Because of California's poor management of its grid and because of its stupid environmental regulations. That's why. But this isn't just a California thing. This is a Democrat thing. They make bad decisions about this. And instead of allowing the public to come to the very clear conclusion that these morons don't know what they're doing, why the heck are we listening to them? When it comes time for accountability, you know what they claim? Oh, I never actually thought that this was going to happen. I never actually thought this was a problem or we needed to do this. Here's Joe Biden on fracking. Play 10.
I never told the environmentalists that I'm going to ban fracking, period, number one. Number two, there's a flat lie about what President Trump is saying. I've said repeatedly on the record and during the campaign, what I did say was I would make sure that any new fracking taking place made sure the water supply and methane was not leaking. They're the two things. That's it. I will not ban fracking.
That's weird because he's said that we need to ban fracking many times before. Oh, but Pennsylvania, you got a problem there with Pennsylvania if you ban fracking. Also, fracking has resulted in the shale energy revolution that has made our economy even more dynamic, even more successful, because energy prices are so much lower, and because American domestic production, we became in the last 10 years an energy superpower, and it's like no one even noticed because half the country's like, we need more windmills and we need more hydro dams and stuff. Put a solar power on my hat because I want to power everything with solar. That's what Democrats say. It doesn't work that way, or at least it doesn't work out. But that is their position on all of this. They just don't like fossil fuels. They've been brainwashed to think that fossil fuels are destroying the world. And, that's not an exaggeration. They really believe that. It's crazy, but they believe it. Will there be a vaccine soon? People for months have been reporting on this. We've all been wondering what's going to happen here. I remember in the early days of the pandemic, there were all these vaccine reports telling us, at the end of the year, we might have a vaccine. That didn't really help us all that much in March, did it? But now we're actually getting close. Now that's a discussion that seems like it's worth having because it could just be 90 days away, perhaps 60 days away from some level of distribution. Remember, not everybody has to get this vaccine for this to very quickly be a much lesser threat to public health. If people who are at highest risk, just as we do with the flu every year, a lot of people don't get the flu vaccine. And as we know, flu vaccines are only partially effective and you have to get one every year. But a lot of people don't get the flu vaccine. But those who do, who are older at higher risk, then obviously that's taking some of the overall health risk out of the equation. And we could have the same thing here with a vaccine if it gets out soon enough. We'll have to see if that in fact happens. But there's going to be a big challenge. I don't mean a challenge in terms of the science, a challenge in terms of public perception of this. For example, what is it, my friends? What is it that we are to do when we hear Democrats who all of a sudden are unwilling to be publicly supportive of taking this vaccine? I thought they're all about the science, right? I thought that they really believe that we should do this. Well, here's the VP would-be, Kamala Harris, on what should happen if Trump says, okay, Operation Warp Speed is a success. Let's get that vaccine going. Play 25.
As you know, President Trump has promised a coronavirus vaccine by the end of the year or maybe sooner. Would you trust that vaccine?
I think that we have learned since this pandemic started, but really before that, that there's very little that we can trust that comes out of Donald Trump's mouth. From the beginning of this pandemic, he has called it a hoax. He has muzzled the public health experts. He has minimized the seriousness of it. He has created false expectations for the American people and American families, even though if he had listened to the scientists and the experts, he would have understood the gravity of it and the power that he as President of the United States has to actually save lives. And none of those were his priorities. His priority was to do whatever he thought was politically expedient. And no, I would not trust his word. I would trust the word of public health experts and scientists, but not Donald Trump.
So what is she saying here? That Trump is going to say a vaccine is effective, but the health experts won't? Think about this, friends. There are health experts out there who, when it became clear that the Democrat BLM movement was taking to the streets in violation of social distancing that they enforced on you and me, can't go see your relatives, can't go outside your house, can't go to a funeral, but BLM can put 4,000 people together. That's no problem, right? That's fine. And there were public health experts who spoke up, like the partisan hacks they are, trying to defend that. I'm telling you right now, you're going to have people, MDs, who go on TV who are libs. Just because they're an MD doesn't mean their politics aren't every bit as much a factor as everything else that we're talking, as anyone else we're talking about here. You're going to have MDs go on TV who are like, well, we're not sure. This vaccine may be a little bit rushed. Well, they're willing to go anti-vax. And whenever you think of vaccines as a general proposition, I mean, I think that it's very clear that vaccines have done a tremendous amount for public health. Not all of them are perfect. Some of them are probably riskier than others. But whatever your positions on this specific vaccine, the Democrats will say, oh, no, this one is bad, at least until after the election. And that's what we should all understand is going to happen here. That we should get ready for that right now. Play 13.
So I got to ask the question. If the president announced tomorrow we have a vaccine, would you take it? Only if it was completely transparent that other experts in the country could look at it. Only if we knew all of what went into it. Because so far, nothing he's told us has been true.
That's right. Casting doubt on whether the president would tell the truth about the vaccine working and being safe. That is how dirty these Democrats aren't just willing to play. They're going to play every day between now and the election.
Time for roll call.
Roll call, everybody. Thank you for being here. But before we get to that, because I missed you all, I've been gone since, it's the longest I've been away from the team, I think, since the beginning of the year. 2 whole days out plus a federal holiday. It's crazy. Producer Mark, was everything okay in my absence? You were on vacation too.
Yes, I wasn't here too. I think Mr. Opelka did his job very well. Filled in admirably.
Godfather Michael Pelka did a great job. That's what I like to hear. How was the producer Mark vacation?
It could have gone a little better. We went up to Cooperstown, the home of the Baseball Hall of Fame. So the first day and a half was fantastic. I'm not going to begrudge Cooperstown on national radio. I think it's a great place, lovely town. If you're a baseball fan, it's fantastic. I wish they had some more cabs or Ubers available for the beverage trail that they like to advertise, and I would never condone drunk driving, hence why me and my wife just decided to cut our losses and leave early rather than kind of be bored and not be able to enjoy the breweries and the wineries.
Why no Uber up there? Seems like that's pretty easy to
You would think it's a big tourist city. Maybe it's something to do with King Cuomo. I don't know. A lot of stuff was probably different than what you would normally see in that town during the summer because of all the restrictions.
And how is the Baseball Hall of Fame?
Oh, it was awesome. It's not as I've been to now the hockey and the Baseball Hall of Fame. I'd say hockey is a lot more interactive. There's more stuff to do in that sense, but baseball is just a straight up museum. And if you love baseball, you'll just appreciate all the artifacts and stuff like that they have. Yeah.
What was the coolest artifact you saw?
Personally,
Yeah.
I'd probably have to say the plaques because that's the big thing. You want to have your name on a plaque in Cooperstown for the rest of your life, and I got to see Mike Piazza, who's my personal favorite player of all time, and Mets legend Tom Seaver had actually just passed away right before we went up there. So they had the flowers and a big tribute to him. Him and Piazza are the only two players to have Mets hats on in their plaques at the Hall of Fame. So it was a pretty cool thing to see for me.
Very nice. Well, I'm glad that we got you a couple of days off. So now Mrs. Producer Mark can't be mad at me when we just put pedal to the metal until the election / the end of the year.
Yeah, she can't be mad that she's not going to see me for the next 60 days or so.
Pretty much, yeah.
How was Montana? You didn't tell us.
Montana is cool. I enjoyed it. I was just out there with some friends and the Snow Princess. We had fun. We were in a ski area, and it's not ski time of year, but it was obviously a major holiday, so there was a lot of stuff going on. Went to a fantastic barbecue place. Absolutely loved it, and can't remember the name of it, but it was really good. It was near Big Sky in Montana, which is a ski resort. And then what else did I do? Went hiking. I'm not really a hike guy. A hike is kind of a strenuous walk that you just keep walking, and then you're like, oh, what am I going to do now? I got an idea. I'm going to walk some more. I got a little bit of a blister. Anyway, it wasn't really my thing. I don't really love hiking. And then I did some.
You're supposed to see cool stuff on hikes, I guess.
Yeah, I saw some beautiful scenery, but I'm good with pull up in the car to an overlook or something somewhere and set up one of those beach chairs and have a nice margarita or something and just hang out. And I'm not feeling the need to go traipsing through the woods. So anyway, I'm not a hike guy. I'm
the same way. I like to look at the woods, but maybe with a glass of wine and a nice chair.
Yeah, I'm the guy you want to have working the grill in your backyard, overlooking the beautiful pine trees or something from the deck. But I'm not the guy who's like, let's go for 7 miles through tall grass and then check ourselves for ticks afterwards. And that's not my thing. It's not my thing.
It's too much work, especially when you're on vacation.
Yeah, it's a lot of. And then I went mountain biking too, or really just trail biking. I suppose I saw a beautiful waterfall. That was nice. Didn't see any bears, which I know you don't want to see them when you don't want to see them, but when you want to see them, from a distance or something. I didn't see any bears. But Montana is an interesting place. Very beautiful. If you love fly fishing, if you like the outdoors, you got to be a big fan of Montana. But if you're a city cat, I don't know. It's not necessarily. And also, I don't ski, and it wasn't ski season. So that's really why people go to where I was. Anyway, it was pretty good. But I got away from stuff. I didn't get in any tweet battles or anything for a few days, and I actually missed work a lot. So that's good because remind me of that, Mark, in about 40 days or so when we've just been in this loop of trying to keep everybody informed about the election, and that's all we do all the time.
Yes, I'll remind you when you sound like you don't want to work anymore that you actually do enjoy working.
Yes, no, it's true. I actually missed this. You're going to remind me of that when I'm like, Mark, I can't do it. You're like, you have a show. It's nationally syndicated. Shut up. But Mark, I'm so tired.
Basically every morning of my life.
Yeah, just get ready for it. Oh, man. All right. Facebook.com/Buck Sexton. TeamBuck@iHeartMedia.com on the email. And also, we're getting them from Instagram, too, Buck Sexton, and we're posting more and more stuff there. Let's get to it. Dallas! Right, it's Buck and Mark. Love the show. I'm more like Jesse. Bull in a china shop. Your schooling of Antifa and their undiscovered potential was the most intelligent and true lesson I ever heard. Shields high. Well, Dallas, thank you. Yeah, I just kind of fell into some analysis about what I really thought was behind a lot of Antifa. It was during roll call, actually, and it turned out that really resonated, and people shared that, and we put it out there just as a little, in response to the audience, a little sound bite. So I think that was, I'm glad that you appreciated it, because I think that really does cut to the heart of it. Janet, Buck, my mother turned me onto your radio show a few years ago, and I haven't missed an episode since. Thank you for imparting your knowledge and insight. Our country needs more men like you. God bless you. Shields high. Well, Janet, thank you so much. You, madam, have fantastic taste in radio shows. And it's a great honor that you find you get so much out of this show. It means a lot to me, Mark, the whole team, the whole Freedom Hut squad. producer Nick and company. So thank you so much for joining us every day, and please spread the word. If your mom told you about the show, what about your sister or your great aunt Ethel or something? Tell her. No one names their kid Ethel anymore, do they? You know, there's kind of those old-timey names that used to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not naming a kid Ethel in 2020.
Have you ever met an Ethel who wasn't over 80?
I have not. No, I don't think I've ever met an Ethel in general. Actually.
Yeah, that's true. But I feel like names are cyclical. Like there's got to be a comeback for all these different names that we think of as being, I guess, people born in like the 30s. You get some of those names. Do you remember? You never watched the Golden Girls, did you?
My grandmother used to watch it, so I'd see some episodes.
I actually thought it was when I was a really young kid, I used to watch it. I thought it was a funny show. I liked it.
I mean, most kids find anything funny.
That's true. But I was like, I like these old ladies. They're funny. I watched a lot of movies. I watched a lot of movies because I was stuck on 4 flights to get to back and forth from Bozeman, Montana. And I will tell you, producer Mark, the movie about the I'm blanking on the name, which is so embarrassing because I definitely watched it. But it's the guy who is the bomber. Do you know what I'm talking about? But he's not the bomber, but they treat him like he is at the Olympics. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't know the name of a movie off the top of my head.
It is. Hold on a second. It is Richard Jewell. Richard Jewell is excellent. It is a very well done movie. I thought based on the subject matter, I was like, how interesting could this really be? If you want to understand how we got to this place with the media and the deep state with Russia collusion, watch Richard Jewell. It kind of takes you through a step-by-step of how this stuff goes. Law enforcement leaks to the press creates the narrative, law enforcement then becomes invested in the narrative, wants to continue to be chasing it a certain way because they want to look like they were right and intelligent, and they don't care who gets hurt in the process. Richard Jewell is excellent. I give it an A-, which for me is like very rare, very rare.
Yeah, you don't like anything.
That's true. Well, I mean food, but yeah, I don't like a lot of shows. I don't like a lot of shows. But I also watched Harriet, the Harriet Tubman movie, and I got to look. It's a great story. They did not execute well on the story. The Harriet Tubman leading a raid of hundreds of Union soldiers behind enemy lines to free more slaves. That was like a 30-second at the very end of the movie. They just go, yeah, and then she did this other thing. I'm like, that's one of the coolest things of the whole story. Harriet Tubman's life is a fascinating subject matter for a movie, and they just did not execute on it very well. I don't know what else to say. It wasn't a very good movie, even though Harriet Tubman is a badass and did really cool stuff, really important stuff. But yeah, that movie was not very good. And then I also, there was one other one and I watched Bombshell on the plane. See, I allow myself to watch movies on planes because I'm never somebody who sits down and watches full-length movies. I watched Bombshell, and I have some thoughts that I'll share another day. Mike writes, hey, Buck, no doubt whatsoever that a contested election scenario is and has been in choreography for a while. All the convenient election year crises are clear and obvious tells to any objective observer. Would the globalists and leftists even take a remote chance at another likely straight-up loss? Hell no. They have no challengers, and they jump the shark with their riots domestically. Chaos is the strategy. The process is the punishment, or tactic now, as it were, if we even get to and through Election Day. I fully expect an event in October that may very well preclude an election. Well, Mike, I think that you're on the right track here with thinking that the left is going to reject what's coming. They're going to reject the results. I think that's certainly true. I also think that they're going to allow the election to happen because they want to see if they can win it, and including by stealing it. So I don't think they're going to stop the election from happening. I just think that they're going to refuse to accept that Trump won the election no matter what. And they are putting in place right now strategies to that effect, narratives that will support that. And we'll talk more about that tomorrow. But yeah, and the riots they've been pushing for, this is a liability for them now. They're trying to make it a limited liability. They're trying to cover it up as much as they can, but it is a liability. There's no question about it. Okay. Andy writes, "Hey, Buck and producer Mark, love your show more than any other after so many years. No other show makes me laugh while also making me more informed at the same time. Hello?" Hillary Croak. "These riots and efforts to defund the police are taking valuable resources and attention away from other prevalent criminal activity, human trafficking, gangs, narcotics, etc. Without law enforcement, evil will take hold. Imagine sending a social worker to ask MS-13 to stop doing bad things. It is because of you and some others that I've decided to go into law enforcement once I get out of the Navy. You have a friend in the submarine force, shields high." Well, Andy, that's great. And thank you so much for writing in and telling us what your plans are here. God bless, man. You're serving the Navy, and then you want to serve your community as a law enforcement officer. That's such an important and honorable path. And as for being on the submarine force, being a submariner, I did watch The Hunt for Red October. Sometimes I like to put something on when I'm packing or doing chores that I've already seen, but it's like having a buddy in the room, you know? By the way, Snow Princess says, "Producer Mark, do I say ROOM kind of weird?"
Room?
Yeah.
I don't know. Say it.
Room.
Yes.
Darn it.
I keep saying that you sound like Stewie from Family Guy, and you say it exactly like he does.
Come on.
Yeah, he says room.
Oh, man. You and my little sister would have a laugh. She also has said in the past that I sound like Stewie from the Family Guy.
Yeah,
so.
or basically Seth MacFarlane in general.
Yeah. Well, there you go. All right, more roll call. But please, before I go on, remember to pass the buck. Tell a friend. Our podcast on Apple Podcasts. I think it was at one point over the weekend we were in the for politics in the top 50. So that was nice boost for the podcast. Remember, this is first the nationally syndicated radio show, but we also have a podcast of the show every day, and you can pass it to friends. So easy. Buck Sexton. Just search for Buck Sexton on Spotify, on the Apple Podcasts app, or the iHeartMedia app, which is, of course, our employer, as Producer Mark likes to point out, so that we keep our jobs, which is true. Important to make sure we show appropriate love for our company. So you can listen on any of those platforms, and recommend that you do. And please just tell somebody about the show, especially right now. There's such a high interest in politics that there's nothing that could be more helpful for us than for each of you listening. If you really believe in the show, you've been listening for years. Look, I think it's the best show out there. Okay, I do. So, and that's not surprising, I'm sure, for any of you to hear, but I think objectively for what this is, there's no better show. So I would hope that you share that opinion and that you'll tell somebody, hey, give this guy a shot, listen to him, go become a part of the Freedom Hut, just pass it to somebody. Text them. You can download you can take the link on your phone and text it or email it directly from the Apple Podcast app or from Spotify. You can send them a link to iHeart. It's very, very easy to do. And so please do that. All right. Nancy writes, "Can't Nancy Pelosi wash her hair at home like the rest of us and use a blow dryer? We're all sacrificing. Why isn't she? She is such a liar. Where is she going to get her hair done the next time when she needs it after she threw the current owner under the bus?" Yeah, I mean, Nancy could do that, but she's important, you see. She's not supposed to be subject to the same rules as the rest of us because Nancy Pelosi is such a critical person for this country. She's a master legislator. Master legislator, Pelosi. So, yeah. It's when she wakes up from a Chardonnay. She's Producer Mark, you got to just drive the car after the Chardonnay. You don't need an Uber. Nancy's got some advice for you, so be aware. It's important.
I mean, I honestly wouldn't be shocked if that was real advice from her.
No, she's like, call your servant, Producer Mark. Call the butler. He'll take care of it for you. All right, everybody, that's the show for today. I am honestly excited to be back with you every day this week and here until the election. We are locked and loaded. Please pass the buck. Until then, we'll join you tomorrow shields high.